There's a uniquely British joy in the first warm day of the year. Sunshine, parks full, and a sense of collective relief as winter finally loosens its grip. The air feels lighter, laughter carries further, and suddenly, every patch of grass becomes a gathering place. It's a time when friends and families spill out into the open, spreading blankets, unpacking picnics, and soaking up every golden ray. The city seems to slow down, as if everyone agrees to pause and savor the moment. And with the sun comes the irresistible urge for something cold and refreshing, a drink that perfectly matches the mood of the day. There's a special anticipation as you reach into the cooler, fingers brushing past ice, searching for that familiar shape. The clink of a glass bottle is the sound of summer itself. It's a ritual that feels pure, nostalgic, and somehow responsible, a small celebration of the season. Each toast is a shared memory in the making, echoing summers past and hinting at those still to come. We trust glass bottles for their weight, their cool touch, and the satisfying heft in our hands. There's a comfort in believing they're the safer, greener choice, recyclable, reusable, and somehow more authentic than anything else. The label might even boast of eco-friendliness, reinforcing our sense of doing the right thing. But what if that trusted glass bottle is hiding something we never expected? What if, beneath the surface, there's a story we've overlooked, a detail that could change everything we thought we knew about our favorite summer ritual? What if, with every sip, we're ingesting a hidden contaminant, something invisible, tasteless, but potentially harmful? It's a question that lingers, challenging the trust we place in that familiar bottle. This isn't about alarm or panic. It's about curiosity, about looking closer, questioning our habits, and being open to the surprising truths that sometimes hide in plain sight. Our summer rituals are worth celebrating, but they're also worth understanding. The real story of what's in our drinks doesn't start at the brewery, with the master brewer or the secret recipe. It begins much earlier, with the bottle itself, its journey, its history, and the unseen risks it might carry. And it's a story that might just change the way we see that perfect pint on a summer's day, reminding us that sometimes the things we trust most deserve a second look. We all know the dangers of plastic pollution, so we reach for glass, thinking it's the safer bet. But when scientists tested drinks for microplastics, they found something shocking. Glass bottles contained, on average, 50 times more microplastic particles than plastic bottles. This wasn't a fluke. It was a consistent pattern across beers, waters, and soft drinks. The very packaging we trusted turned out to be a bigger source of contamination. Every glass bottle we chose to avoid plastic may have exposed us to even more microplastics. It's a discovery that upends our assumptions and forces us to rethink what safe packaging really means. The problem isn't just visible plastic waste. It's the invisible particles hiding in plain sight, and it's happening right on our supermarket shelves. To get answers, scientists collected everyday drinks, beer, water, soft drinks, in glass, plastic, and cans. They filtered each beverage, trapping even the tiniest particles, then used advanced microscopes and spectroscopy to identify what was inside. The results were clear: glass bottles had far more microplastics. But the glass itself wasn't the culprit. By analyzing the chemical fingerprints, they traced the particles to the paints and coatings on the bottles, and the plastic liners in the caps. The process of bottling, capping, and transport was causing these materials to shed microscopic fragments into the drinks. The contamination wasn't from the drink or the glass, but from the packaging's finishing touches. A simple ritual, twisting a cap, pouring a drink, was introducing plastics we never saw. The bottle itself was the hidden source. The numbers are stark. When researchers analyzed a liter of beer from a glass bottle, they found an average of 50 microplastic particles suspended in the liquid. That's not just a stray contaminant or a rare occurrence, it's a consistent finding that surprised even the scientists conducting the study. These tiny plastic fragments, invisible to the naked eye, are present in every sip, raising questions about what we're really consuming when we reach for a drink in glass. In comparison, plastic bottles contain just 1 or 2 microplastic particles per liter, and aluminum cans had almost none at all. The difference is dramatic, challenging our assumptions about which packaging is safest. The data paints a clear picture. Glass bottles, often seen as the premium or eco-friendly choice, may actually expose us to more microplastics than their plastic or metal counterparts. And this pattern isn't limited to beer. When researchers tested soft drinks, bottled water, and even wine packaged in glass, they found the same trend: higher microplastic counts in glass bottles across the board. It's a widespread issue, not confined to a single beverage or brand, but affecting a whole category of drinks we often consider safer or more natural. The problem doesn't come down to a specific company or a particular drink. Instead, it's rooted in the glass packaging process itself. During manufacturing, filling, and sealing, microplastics can be introduced at multiple stages, making it a systemic issue that's difficult to avoid, no matter the brand or beverage. While 50 particles per liter might sound insignificant at first, consider how much you drink over time. If you regularly consume beverages from glass bottles, those particles add up, potentially thousands ingested over the course of months or years. It's a cumulative exposure that most of us have never thought about, but one that could have real implications for our health. And glass bottles are just one source. Microplastics are everywhere, in our food, our water, even the air we breathe. Add in particles from plastic packaging, synthetic clothing, and household dust, and the total exposure becomes even more significant. It's a reminder that microplastics are a pervasive part of modern life, infiltrating our bodies from multiple directions. For years, the narrative was simple: plastic is bad, glass is good. But this new evidence complicates that story. It forces us to reconsider our choices and recognize that the solutions to plastic pollution aren't always as straightforward as they seem. This research doesn't mean plastic bottles are suddenly the best option or that glass is inherently dangerous. Instead, it highlights the complexity of the problem. Every packaging material has its own risks and trade-offs, and understanding those nuances is crucial if we want to make informed decisions. The real challenge lies in understanding the full life cycle of our packaging, from production to use to disposal. Only by looking at the entire process can we begin to address the true environmental and health impacts of our choices. Evidence like this pushes both consumers and the beverage industry to dig deeper, ask tougher questions, and demand better solutions for the future. Microplastics are minuscule fragments of plastic, each less than 5 millimeters in length, so tiny that many are invisible to the naked eye. Some are even smaller, known as nanoplastics, which can be measured in billionths of a meter. These particles are everywhere, and their size makes them especially difficult to detect and remove from the environment. Microplastics come from two main sources. Some are intentionally manufactured to be small, like the microbeads once commonly found in facial scrubs, toothpastes, and other personal care products. These microbeads were designed to be washed down the drain, but they often slip through water treatment systems and end up in rivers, lakes, and oceans. However, the majority of microplastics are created when larger plastic items, like bottles, bags, and packaging, gradually break down over time. Sunlight, wind, and water cause these plastics to fragment into smaller and smaller pieces, a process that can take years or even decades. In bottled drinks, these are called secondary microplastics. They're not added on purpose, but are shed from the bottle's paint, coatings, and cap liners through everyday actions like opening, closing, or simply handling the bottle. Even the friction of bottles rubbing against each other during transport can release these tiny particles. These microplastic particles are made from a variety of polymers including polyethylene, polypropylene, and acrylates. Each type of plastic has its own chemical structure and properties, but none are designed to break down naturally in the environment. Importantly, these particles are not intentionally added to drinks. They're an unintended consequence of our reliance on plastic packaging. The real issue with microplastics is their persistence. Unlike organic materials, plastic doesn't biodegrade. Instead, it just keeps breaking into smaller and smaller pieces, remaining in the environment for hundreds, even thousands of years. Over time, these fragments accumulate, creating a lasting legacy of pollution. Today, microplastics have been found in every corner of the globe. They contaminate our oceans, rivers, and lakes, but also our soil, the air we breathe, and even the food and drinks we consume. Recent studies have detected microplastics in bottled water, tap water, and even in rain. Though invisible to us, these particles are part of a growing global problem. Their small size allows them to travel easily through water systems, enter the food chain, and potentially impact human health in ways we are only beginning to understand. Every sip from a glass bottle, every bite of seafood, is a reminder of how deeply plastics have infiltrated our daily lives. The presence of microplastics is no longer just an environmental issue. it's a personal one, affecting us all. As scientists continue to study the effects of microplastics, one thing is clear: the consequences of our plastic use are only beginning to be understood, and the need for solutions has never been more urgent. So what happens when we ingest these particles? Larger microplastics likely pass through our bodies, but the smallest, nanoplastics, may enter our bloodstream and reach vital organs. Studies have found microplastics in human blood and lung tissue. The risks are twofold: physical irritation and inflammation, and chemical exposure from additives like phthalates and BPA. Plastics can also absorb other pollutants, delivering a concentrated chemical load. Chronic inflammation from these particles could contribute to serious health issues over time. The long-term effects are still unknown, but the early evidence is concerning. We're only beginning to understand the true impact of this invisible exposure. The question isn't if we're affected, but how much. Research is ramping up and the findings are troubling. In lab studies, microplastics can kill human cells, trigger allergic reactions, and damage cell walls. Some chemicals in plastics are known carcinogens, and chronic inflammation may help tumors develop. Microplastics have been found in cancerous lung tissue, raising urgent questions. Endocrine disruptors in plastics can mimic hormones, potentially affecting fertility and development. Animal studies link these chemicals to reproductive problems and hormonal imbalances. The effects are subtle, cumulative, and may take years to appear. The more we learn, the clearer it becomes. This is a threat we can't ignore. The good news? Solutions are within reach. Scientists suggest a simple fix: a high-pressure jet wash of bottles before filling to remove loose particles. This extra cleaning step could dramatically cut microplastic contamination. Companies can also develop tougher paints and better cap liners to reduce shedding. These are practical, affordable changes that don't require a total industry overhaul. The responsibility now lies with manufacturers to act on this research. As consumers, our awareness and choices can drive change. By demanding safer packaging, we can push companies to adopt these solutions. Knowledge gives us the power to make our drinks safer. This discovery isn't a reason to panic, but a call to be more informed and engaged. Stay updated as science evolves, and use that knowledge to make better choices. If microplastics are a concern, aluminum cans currently seem the safest bet. Plastic bottles may also be lower in microplastics than glass, though they come with their own environmental issues. The best option? Reduce single-use packaging. Filtered tap water is hard to beat. Use your voice. Let brands know you care about purity and safety. Support companies that are transparent and proactive about reducing contaminants. Our choices and demands can drive